or phrasing. Phrasing is basically and that correlates again. Music correlates with linguistics, language and human interpersonal communication, where phrasing is just the way where we pause between the sentence, like where there's a pause. We pause between the sentence. That has to do with the whole phonological features of linguistics. Two key areas in linguistics: phonetics and phonology. Study sound, different variations of sound. Right. And where you pause between the sentence, cadence, modulation, the rise and fall. So my point is contemplating phrasing in music, soloing, how phrasing and phrasing metaphorically in art. Phrasing which corresponds with perspective and proportion, which is a whole different discussion. My point for mentioning this is what popped up in my head was, and it's such an incongruity, which is the movie Beautiful Mind. What's the actor name? Professor John Nash in the movie. What's the actor's name? Russell Crowe. And I don't understand where that idea came from and how does that correspond with me drawing the correlation and then coordinates between music and art. And it's the whole aspect of Nash equilibrium. Nash, Professor Russell Crowe, the actor, Professor John Nash, was a mathematician, inevitably developing schizophrenia, pareidolia, hallucination, illusions, psychosis, and to follow me down the rabbit hole, Alice in Wonderland, Morpheus, Neo, Trinity, schizophrenia. So basically, Professor John Nash came up with this whole Nash equilibrium, they call it. And he called it governing dynamics. Governing dynamics is basically, I think it's called game theory in economics, and his whole idea of Nash equilibrium, governing dynamics, was sort of like a paradigm shift in economics. And what I find fascinating with John Nash's formula was, it was really a metaphor. It was actually an analogy. Metaphors and analogies are they're dichotomy. They're mutually exclusive. All of both terms are used interchangeably. Metaphors is basically finding commonalities between different forms of existence. And analogies is also finding commonalities between different forms of existence.